Hello everyone, welcome to Any Recap. Today anime title is down below in the description. Rias decides that it is time for Issei and Azuya to get their own familiars. Rias and the others then reveal their own familiars but are interrupted when the student council arrives. Rias then reveals to Issei that the current president of the student council, Sona Citri, is also a high-class devil and hails from the Citri clan. Both Rias and Sona then introduce their new servants to each other as Issei and Saji start a new rivalry amongst themselves. When Saji reveals that he was given the right to have a familiar by Sona, it overlaps with Rias' plan to have Issei and Azuya one, causing both Rias and Sona to be troubled by the fact that only one of them can get a familiar at one time. This prompts them, along with their fellow queens, to decide to have a tennis match in order to decide who gets to receive their familiar first. However, their match ends in a draw. Rias and Akeno decided to have a dodgeball match. The dodgeball match ends with the Occult Research Club winning, albeit with extensive damage to school property due to their extravagant usage of demonic powers in the game. At the familiar forest, Issei and the others meet the familiar master, Zatoji, who guides them throughout the familiar forest, discovering an Undine along the way. Issei's expectations of having an Undine as a familiar, due to his assumption of them being beautiful water spirits, are crushed mercilessly when he sees that the real Undines are burly old muscular women wearing pink togas, causing them to continue their quest for familiars. Later on, after encountering a baby sprite dragon, Issei originally wanted to capture it as his familiar but later changes his opinion, when a slime appears and dissolves the clothes of all the girls present. Issei, impressed by the slime's capabilities and its dauntless potential for perverseness, then decides to pick the slime as his familiar. This however ends in failure, as Rias and the others, disgusted by the slime's lecherous nature, exterminate it much to Issei's woe. As Issei desperately tries to protect the last of the slime on Azuya, the baby sprite dragon attacks him and destroys off all the remaining slime by electrocuting it. The familiar master then reveals that the baby sprite dragon has taken a liking to Azuya, who then proceeds to make the baby sprite dragon her familiar, and names it, Rase. Issei dreams of himself marrying Rias, which indirectly leads him to get in touch with his inner dragon. At the clubroom, Azuya is seen healing Issei with Rias saying that she has no problem with showing her body to Issei. After Issei and the others leave, Rias and Akeno have a private conversation on Rias' recent favoritism towards Issei. As Akeno leaves, an unknown magic circle is shown to appear before Rias in the clubroom. Back in Issei's room at night, Rias suddenly appears, oddly asking Issei to take her virginity out of the blue. Before Rias can continue, a new figure appears and interrupts them, introducing herself as Grafia. Rias then leaves as she's escorted out by Grafia. The next day, Issei meets Riser Phoenix, another high-class devil from the Phoenix clan, and Rias' fiancé. Rias and Riser then have a dispute, due to the disagreement caused by Rias' blatant refusal to marry Riser. Seeing the dispute between Rias and Riser escalate, Grafia offers mediation terms, proposing either of them sort out their differences by playing a rating game with each other. After it is decided that they would have a rating game against each other to solve the problem. Riser introduces his full peerage to Rias and the others, causing Issei to look upon Riser's female-only peerage with a mixture of jealousy, envy, and admiration. However, after seeing Riser shamelessly flirt with his queen, Issei gets angry and challenges Riser to a fight, but immediately loses, being struck down by Mira, one of Riser's pawns, whom he also claims as his peerage's weakest member. Riser leaves after Rias accepts the terms for the rating game. Rias prepares a cottage in an uninhabited mountain for the Occult Research Club to begin their training activities. However, despite training with Kiba in swordfighting, with Akeno on magic, and finally, with Kaneko on close-quarters combat, Issei fails miserably. However, later on, while cooking using magic, Issei notices that upon imagining Akeno's naked body, he can harness his demonic power to peel the potatoes with remarkable ease. Coupling it with the feeling he got when he first activated his sacred gear against Calawarner, Issei gets an idea for developing a new move. Meanwhile, Grafia is seen discussing with her master, Sirzex, on Rias' decision to accept the rating game challenge. During nighttime, Issei sneaks out by himself to practice the new move he thought of until Azuya shows up to help him. The next day, Rias starts explaining about the history of the devils, angels, and fallen angels, which in turn leads to the creation of the rating games. The next morning, Issei once again has a sparring match with Kiba. However, having trained rigorously for 10 days, his and the Occult Research Club's various efforts pay off when Issei manages to power up his boosted gear enough to use Dragon Shot, which he then uses against Kiba, causing an entire mountainside to be leveled as a collateral. This not only secures his first win against his fellow comrade, but also causes Rias' training regimen to achieve to its desired conclusion. Issei and his friends make final preparations and prepare themselves mentally as they wait for the rating game against Riser and his team to commence. Before leaving, Sona and Tsubaki arrives to show their support for Rias and wishes her good luck. The Gremory team is then transported to a dimension where they see a replica of Kuo Academy, which is to be used as the field for the rating game. Prior to the start of the match, Rias formulates a strategy and orders Akino, Yuto, and Kaneko to place traps in preparation against Riser's assault. While the others head off to make their preparations, Rias, then, unseals part of the seal she previously placed on Issei due to his lack of strength to withstand it. After finishing their preparations, Issei and Kaneko head to the gymnasium where they are confronted by 4 of Riser's servants: his rook, Shueilin, and pawns, Mira, Eel and Nell. Kaneko decides to battle it out with Shueilin, leaving Issei to deal with the remaining 3 pawns. Initially facing trouble due to being outnumbered 3-1, Issei manages to overcome the odds with the doubling ability of the boosted gear and succeeds in his task of immobilizing his opponents after revealing his new move, Dress Break, which strips off the girl's clothes. At the same time, Kaneko successfully immobilizes Shueilin by disabling her movements in a submission hold. The two, then, proceed to leave the gymnasium, allowing Akino to deal the finishing blow to the defeated 4 by destroying the gymnasium in one large-scale attack. Meanwhile, inside the forest, Kiba confronts another 3 of Riser's pawns, Sharia, Marion and Burrant, who got caught in the traps set by Rias' team while they were on their way to the enemy headquarters. Elsewhere, Kaneko and Issei decide to move on, initiating the next phase of their plan. Kaneko, disgusted by Issei's move, decides to walk ahead of Issei, only to be taken out by a surprise attack from Riser's queen, Yubaluna. Issei challenges Yubaluna in an attempt to avenge Kaneko but is stopped by Akino, who proceeds to fight her in his place. Issei regroups with Yuto after Rias is forced to revise her strategy due to Akino's fight with Yubaluna. Finally, deciding to face Riser herself, despite both Issei's and Yuto's staunch objection. With no options left, both men proceed to challenge the remaining members of Riser's peerage Revel. Yuto, then, fights Carlamine while Issei fights Isabella, defeating Isabella after using Dress Break to disable her movements before defeating her with his Dragon Shot. However, upon seeing that Rias is at a disadvantage in her fight against Riser, Issei, hoping to be more useful to her, allows his boosted gear to further evolve, transforming it into the boosted gear gift, before transferring the boosted power to Yuto. It is this transferred power that allows Yuto to successfully defeat Riser's remaining pieces, aside from Revel, in one wide-scale attack with his sword birth. The victory, however, is short-lived by an unexpected announcement of Akeno being defeated and Yuto's sudden elimination by Yubaluna. This causes Issei to ignore Revel's warning, as he heads into the enemy headquarters alone, before promoting into queen and heading to the rooftop to assist Rias and Azia. Issei, however, was incapable of doing anything as his body had reached its limit due to the burden of the boosted power that was continuously being placed upon his body, and was nearly thrashed to the point of near death by Riser. When Issei wakes up, finding himself passed out on his own bed after the rating game against Riser and his peerage, he blames himself, knowing that it was his powerlessness that forced Rias to resign. Soon after, Graphia, Sir Zek's queen, arrives at his home and gives Issei a magic circle that will allow him to attend the Gremory Phoenix engagement party in the underworld. When Issei arrives at the designated area and blatantly crashes the party, Sir Zex interferes, offering arbitration terms to settle the dispute by hosting a one-on-one battle between Riser and Issei, with Rias' engagement on the line. When the battle begins, it is revealed that Issei traded his left arm to the dragon that resides within him, in exchange for extreme power that will only last for 10 seconds. Issei is able to overpower Riser with his newfound power but is unable to defeat or deal him critical damage, due to him being a phoenix, especially in the brief 10 seconds window he has. However, even after the 10 seconds are up, Issei manages to win when he surprisingly attacks a weakened riser with holy objects that he had earlier acquired from Azia, causing the riser to experience excruciating spiritual pain. After winning the battle, Rias kisses Issei while flying on the griffin. This anime ends here. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you won't miss our latest videos, and let us know what you think of the anime in the comment below.